Hello everyone, this is Leanne at the National Weather Service in Missoula. It is February 18th today, and I will be walking you through the next several days worth of weather and impacts, and there are plenty, so let's get started. So here's our summary. Tonight we are expecting strong winds and new snowfall in the Camas Prairie area of central Idaho, and that's basically starting from this evening, tonight, through Friday morning. And I'll get into some increased detail into this in the next couple of slides, but basically we're expecting south-southwest sustained winds of 30 to 50 miles per hour during this time, and ground blizzards are likely, low visibility, all of that comes with blowing snow, and a high likelihood for snow drifts to occur, especially with how much snow that area has seen over the past several days. But snow is not just expected there. We are expecting light to moderate snowfall to occur just about everywhere across north central Idaho and western Montana tonight and through the day Friday. And then a short break on Saturday, and then we're right back into it with an atmospheric river setup that we're expecting Sunday into Monday. And with that, heavy mountain snow will persist during that time. We'll have very strong winds and just about everywhere, which I'll get into, but then valley snow to start this event, and likely transitioning over to a messy mix as temperatures moderate, particularly in the valleys, which I will get into detail as well. Here's our threat matrix. As you can see, standing out right there in red, north central Idaho, we're expecting snow and blowing snow, high impacts from both, and then moderate impacts in west central Montana just from the continuous light snowfall. Not wholly unlike we've seen the last several days, the light continuous stuff mixed in with periods of more moderate snow. And then a low end impact, for northwest Montana, southwest Montana, and Lemhi County in Idaho. Then lingering snow Saturday, low threat for all across the board. And then Sunday we start to see the impacts of that atmospheric river come with some snow and wind, especially in the higher terrain, and then snow at mountain passes Monday into Tuesday, winds, etc. The threat will start to creep upward into the moderate, possibly high as we get closer. We'll have to see, but that is what we are expecting in the days to come. Now let's dig into the Camas Prairie issue starting tonight into Friday. The graphic on the left shows the maximum wind speeds that we're expecting, and then the maximum wind gusts on the graphic to the right. And the first thing that stands out here is how localized of an area that we are expecting the strongest winds and the most impacts. And it's centered right around that Grangeville area and then the flats around the city itself. And it does kind of extend a little to the north, but doesn't quite make it into Kuski, Fry Hill, all the way up into Orofino. Shouldn't feel too much of the winds. It'll be breezy, but nothing like what Grangeville and the immediate area around the city will see. Obviously, the max winds we're looking at well into the 30, possibly 40 mile an hour range, and then gusts as high as 60 possible in this area. And with that, of course, the threat for blowing and drifting will be high, but where's our confidence with all this? Well, we believe the winds will actually pick up early this afternoon around 2 p.m. or so, but then we're expecting them to intensify around 5 p.m. and thereafter, and peak at their strongest around 7 to 9 p.m. this evening into tonight. And that's not to say that it won't continue to be strong thereafter. It's just that's when we'll really start to see in that area those winds really pick up. And our confidence is high with this. We feel good about the wind speeds, feel good about the timing of this, and of course the concerns that come with it could be major. The blowing and drifting of snow could lead to snowbanks over roadways enough that they may cause issues with roads being opened or closed. There is that threat there, especially with the kinds of winds that we're seeing. And of course, additional light snow on top of this, about 1 to 4 inches depending on your exact elevation. So a lot going on down there in just a short amount of time. So like I mentioned, snowfall won't just be focused across that specific area of the forecast area. It will be more widespread. But again, light amounts. The graphic on the left shows what we're going with in our forecast as of right now, but I thought I would include the image on the right to show the 1 in 10 chance, the high-end chance of what locations could see as far as snowfall goes going into Friday. And overall, not that much. 1 to 2 inches in most valleys. The Butte, Blackfoot region, McDonald Pass, those locations won't see too much. They'll see the least But obviously the mountains right around in the Clearwater Mountains, the Bitterroots, and the Mission and Swan Mountains will see the most out of this one particular round of snow. And even then, about 8 inches, or up to 8 inches, I should say, in the higher terrain, and about 1 to 2 inches for most valley locations. So then by Sunday, we're talking about another atmospheric river setup occurring. And every time we talk about atmospheric rivers, two things are almost always, I hate to say certain, but very common with atmospheric rivers, and that's an increase in wind speeds and an increase in moisture. And the graph I'm showing, or the graphic I'm showing here, just shows the trajectory of moisture off the central Pacific onto the west coast. And you can see that it's draped basically from west to east right across western Montana and the panhandle of Idaho, and with emphasis over northwest Montana. So what does that mean for as far as winds, moisture for valleys, higher terrain, etc.? Well, this is a different way of looking at it, but it kind of points to what the potential is, and we're looking at especially across parts of north central Idaho into northwest Montana. And that's this image showing the extreme forecast index, which just shows that for this time period over this area for this time of year, it's showing an increase. Like this is on the higher end of what we typically see for this area at this time of year. So obviously it's hinting at, man, there's going to be some winds going on here, but how much are we thinking? So these are early wind estimates for our forecast, but we will refine this as we go forward. So below 4,500 feet in the northwest Montana, portions of north central Idaho, sustained west winds of 20 to 25 miles an hour will be common. Gusts in the 30s to 40 mile per hour range, totally not out of the question. And of course, much stronger as you get above in the higher elevations, above 4,500 feet, sustained west winds of 45 to 50 miles per hour are quite likely. And then gusts up to 60 plus are totally not out of the question. So a very strong wind event, especially for the mountainous areas, which will only help to increase moisture production above 4,500 feet. So great orographics, great mountain snowfall, but it gets a little more complicated when you get below 4,500 feet. And that's kind of spread out here. So most locations on Sunday will start out with snow, including valleys, but the heavy mountain snow will have already begun and will continue through this entire time frame. But sometime Sunday into Monday, the snow levels will rise up to about 5,000 to 6,000 feet. That would result in a valley transition to rain-snow mix or an all-rain scenario, which is most likely in Idaho. And that can be attributed to those rising snow levels, as well as moderating valley temperatures through the day Monday, which I will show in the next slide. But all during this time, one thing remains, and that's the heavy mountain snowfall, especially above 6,000 feet if those snow levels do rise to that point. So the screaming message here is a big change in a small amount of time from cold, wet, windy to mild, wet, windy with heavy snow in the mountains. So of course, like I said, we will refine this as we get closer to the time frame, and we'll have much more detail about this particular weather event on our Sunday briefing. So what about the temperatures? The high temperature trend. The graph on the left shows the high temperatures expected for Sunday, and the graphic on the right shows the high temperatures expected for Monday. And you can see by Monday, a lot of places, most places, are well into the 40s for high temperatures. And there's just a few localized areas in north central Idaho valleys that may reach the 50-degree mark. And we haven't seen these kind of temperatures for a couple weeks now. And it's not expected to last very long. We're not expecting these kind of temperatures to even persist into Tuesday. We're expecting a cold front to come on Tuesday and drop all of these back to more seasonable temperatures. But for the time being, this is the kind of temperature trend we are expecting Sunday into Monday. On the flip side, the low temperatures Sunday on the left-hand graphic show things right around freezing in north central Idaho to below freezing in western Montana. And those do become slightly more mild by Monday morning, which is the graphic on the right. And you can see plenty of places hovering right around that freezing mark, which when we talk about atmospheric rivers and rising snow levels and moderating temperatures, we do expect a little bit of snow melt to occur. Not a lot, because it's not a prolonged warm event, but with the threat with how much snow we do see on the ground, particularly in north central Idaho where they will warm up slightly longer than western Montana, the threat for ponding and drainage problems and that starts to increase. Again, not a prolonged warm event, but those problems could start to crop up. And the one good thing working in our favor is that things will refreeze overnight, but that means a problem for road surfaces. If things melt during the day and there's black ice and things refreeze overnight and that gets exacerbated, it can be a kind of a sloppy situation going into the morning hours before things have a chance to warm back up again. So I wanted to show you the moderating temperatures for the highs Sunday into Monday, and then I also wanted to show the lows being around that freezing mark Monday morning. Of course, we'll have all the details on everything Sunday onward on our Sunday recorded briefing, but in the meantime, if you have any questions about any of the things that we discussed here, please feel free to reach out to us. We're always here. Thank you.